Morning, everybody. So, look, thanks a lot for taking time to join us today to have our morning coffee together. And I had a brief look before taking the stage on the conference agenda, and I see that attention takes a lot of interest in today's schedule. I mean, just down the hall, we have another fellow presenter who will be talking about how to best pay attention to what people are saying in online or offline, right? Now, differently on this stage, we'll be talking more about how do we earn users' attention and how that earned attention is translated into brand growth. My name is Sergiu Gruita, and I work for Teads as the industry director for the CE region. That means that I'm helping advertisers and their media agencies across our region to basically extract the highest ROI from their media activation with us in our ecosystem. And for the ones in the room which are still asking themselves, what's Teads? We're basically the digital media platform, a global media platform that helps you solve for two biggest challenges. First of all, earning the user's attention with the beautiful advertising campaigns that we are enabling you to exploit in our ecosystem. And secondly, we help you build trust with the products and services that you advertise with us. Now, how do we do that? What's the magic sauce behind everything that we do? For me, it's a combination of two elements. First of all, we're talking about a premium video and static placement enabled by our proprietary technology that basically allows your advertising campaigns to be displayed in premium content all across the web, in between the paragraph of the articles that your users are reading. On top of that, we complement this premium media placement with optimized creative. And we do that by working with an internal creative team we call Teads Studio that basically takes the beautiful assets that you already developed for your advertising campaigns and enhances them, makes them fit to our platform. We do that all that for free, right? So by putting together a premium placement and an optimized creative, we're able to deliver an average view time which is 7 times higher than the regular average view time in social media feeds. Now, we take those beautiful creative ads and we put behind them a mass reach, and not anywhere. We deliver your campaigns in a high-quality, premium, and brand-safe environment. Today, we're able to reach more than 1.9 billion users at a global level. In our region, in the CE, that means that in all the key markets, we are able to serve and to deliver behind your advertising campaigns more than 70% reach, between 70 and 90% monthly unique reach of the total online population. Why is this important? How can we take all these nice elements, creative assets, targeting options, and relevant placements to further optimize and efficientize your media advertising campaigns? Well, in our view, it all comes back to the user and the paradigm shift we are seeing in terms of shifting users' behavior. We all know that as users, we don't get out of the bed in the morning to look for advertising content, even the ones that we are working on advertising campaigns, right? And this only means that a thing like attention is becoming fundamental as a bedrock to this shifting user behavior. Now, a changing user behavior also requires enhanced media KPIs, better measure it. And for a lot of time now, viewability in our industry was the key KPI that was actually used by advertisers, media agencies, and platforms as the best proxy KPI for the quality of the advertising campaigns. Now, requiring high viewability for your advertising campaigns also led to another interesting change within our industry. Basically, the tools and the advertising platform adapted their solutions to deliver the highest possible viewability. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that this change reflects also into better media KPIs, because things like smaller ads which are placed above the fold or unskippable video content, which de facto help you deliver a high viewability, do little to improve the user's attention on those advertising campaigns. Now, in order to solve this equation, We first started at Teads to go back to some of the basic marketing theory we were all learning as part of our university studies. Now, we know that from that theory, the classical marketing theory, it says that attention and memory are related. So basically, if I pay the higher attention to the cocktail menus last evening, probably today I have a higher chance to remember that we had an incredible gin tonic served yesterday evening, right? Now, moreover, we also know that memory and mental availability are also correlated. Now, what does it mean? What mental availability means? It's basically the likelihood. It's a KPI that measures the likelihood of a brand coming to mind instead of a competition, ahead of a competition set, when I'm being placed in a purchase opportunity, when basically I'm putting myself in front of the shelf. So for example, if I'm seeing today a nice advertising campaign for Coca-Cola, delivered on Bloomberg in Croatia. And that campaign leaves a lasting impact on me. Tomorrow, when I'll go in a supermarket, I'll have a higher chance to take a Coke Zero instead of a competitive brand, right? Now, in theory, everything sounds good. The key challenge is how do you actually define and measure attention? And here's where still, as an industry level, we're still striving to find our way. Today, there are 3 big solutions that enable us to measure attention, each of them with key challenges and key benefits, right? So between eye tracking, facial coding, and live campaign measurement, we are bound to sacrifice between precision and scalabilities in terms of these available options. Eye tracking has been around for years now. Started initially to be used by research companies. We all know those ugly headsets that are placed on top of users' faces, and that are used, and then those devices are then used to measure the movement of their eyes. It's the best solution available right now to track where the users are looking for how much time, and if they pay attention or not to your ads. Now, the downside to this solution is that you need to sacrifice scalability for precision. And as you can imagine, it's pretty difficult in a real-life environment to get more than, 10,000 devices mounted on users' faces. It will be at least difficult, right? The second solution is facial coding. Now, this is one solution that combines the both of the 2 worlds, precision with scalability. We're using, as a measurement solution, you'll be using the camera of the laptop or the camera of the phone to track the user gaze. The fact that, and you will know that if they are looking at the screen when your ad is playing or not. It's not as accurate as eye tracking, however, it's highly scalable because you're basically using what's already available in the market. The third solution, the most scalable one, is live campaign measurements. And this mainly relies on statistical models and custom definitions to enable advertisers and their media agencies to generate a clue about the impact their campaigns are having. Now, the good news is that at Teads, we've been busy in the last 2 years working with global media agencies like Dentsu, like Havas, and trying to find the best solution to answer this equation. Now, the result of these research studies, which were ran globally, actually helped us to narrow down 4 drivers that are impacting attention. And those drivers are the ones that you see on the screen. We're talking about quality of media, the ad experience, the importance of the creative, and the relevance of the ecosystem where you are delivering those creatives. Now, the first 2 of them are fixed parameters, right? So you have to rely on digital platforms like us to deliver you the best results. The second one, it's creative and relevance, is something that we can all influence, together with our creative agencies, together with our media agencies, and in working in close partnership with various digital platforms and solutions. I'll take them one by one just to give you an insight about what's behind each of them. When we're talking about quality of media, the most important element, the most important driver behind this measurement, this driver, it's actually the in-view time. The more in-view time an ad is generating on a screen, the more attention is given. To this, we add also the fact, the difference behind how this media is being consumed. Now, we all have access to Facebook, I hope. And we've been used to browse super fast in social media feeds, trying to disregard as much as possible advertising content and focus on what's interesting for us, the elements and the video images posted by our friends, right? Differently, when we're talking about local publishers, and especially about premium publishers, where we're having higher relevance of content and more curated content, the velocity of the scroll becomes a lot slower. So basically, you're clicking on a title of the article. That means that you're interested to read more about the article. Hence, that automatically generates a higher in-view time behind ads which are placed in relevant contextual segments and in relevant content. The second driver, how do you consume media? Well, from our studies, we've noticed that voluntary choice is key for the attention. And there is a strong difference behind the results, the attention results generated by forced video ad exposure and the ones which the user can scroll, skip, or move forward. Obviously, when you're talking about things like raw attention, behind the forced ad exposure, you are generating dramatically increased volumes versus a non-forced ad, right? We all know that when we are going on YouTube trying to, I don't know, look for a song or a relevant video content, you are forced to spend between 6 to 15 seconds on an advertising campaign before you get to that material. Now, obviously, this gets you higher raw attention, as I was mentioning. However, differently, you're also frustrating your users. That means that in terms of branding impact, forced ad exposure requires almost 2 times higher time versus a non-forced ad exposure to generate the same attention impact. Another study validating the same type of result that I mentioned earlier. This is actually part of one of the latest research we've done for a brand in Germany, where basically looked at the impact the same video material was having in terms of attention across different digital channels. So we've run the Teads campaign in Der Spiegel. We ran the same video advertising on Facebook as a pre-roll on YouTube and then on TV Now, which is the video-on-demand platform owned by RTL Group. The result was already conclusive to the same previous note that we were discussing. Fewer distraction around out-of-stream ads are actually proven fundamental to generate higher attention levels. Now, moving now from the fixed parameters to the ones that we can optimize and influence throughout the duration of the campaigns, the first and most important one is the creative. Now, we're all media and marketing people in the room, and I hope that we know that creative is fundamental for the success of a media campaign. From our data, it's accountable for more than 75% of the effectiveness of a media campaign. And especially for that, I'll have my colleague Gabi following on the stage to take you more in depth about what we do in terms of creative and what's our approach to help you and your clients extract more bang from your buck, right? In terms of media activation. And we require only your available assets, whatever you have developed in terms of static or video materials, so that our team can start and optimize for free those beautiful assets and make them fit for our platform. Now, the last driver for impacting attention levels is obviously the context. And we kind of already knew that the context where you're placing your ad plays a fundamental role in the impact that ad is having. However, now we also have data behind it. So industry data, it's actually showing that we are getting an incremental impact of 13% in terms of attentive seconds by placing your ad, in this case, a hybrid car ad, in a relevant context. This is an article from Times talking about focused around finance and the carbon footprint of all the finance transactions happening around the world. So already the user, as he's scrolling down, as he's going through the text in that article, he's interested about already he's manifested the interest about environmental factors. So your Hyundai hybrid car ad will have a higher relevance. Now, we also have internal meta-learning data to complement the available industry learnings. And those data are showing from all the brand lift studies that we've done across the world, and we're talking about thousands of different studies across all the key brands, global brands, are showing that in terms of branding impact, placing this type of relevant ads in contextual relevant articles are generating more than 135% increase in terms of branding impact. So again, if you want to drive attention for your campaigns, you need to take care of 4 big factors. It starts with the creative ad experience. It starts with the way you are exposing your users to the advertising campaigns, the creatives, what you're putting in front of their eyeballs, and then where do you place those creative content. Now, I didn't want to leave you today only with a theory and only with a lot of statistical data and a lot of inside learning. So I'm bringing in front of you the result of a test that we've done in Romania, in this case for Durex. And we've looked through both media comparisons and branding studies, which try to quantify together with our partners from Reckitt the higher impact that that Teads can bring in terms of media KPIs, but also in terms of branding KPIs, by putting together all these 4 different elements that we were talking. So basically, with the same video content that was exploited on Teads, on YouTube, and on Facebook, we've been able to generate higher video completion rates because these ads were served in relevant contents. We were having a double click-through rate versus the social media. And obviously, when you're having a higher video completion rates, which is, I think, 3 times in absolute versus the one you got on Facebook, automatically this translates into a more efficient cost per completed view, right? So we're not only generating you better media KPIs, but we're actually helping you to do that at a lower cost at the end of the day. And additionally to the media results, we've also measured the impact of this campaign in terms of branding results. So the positive sentiment post-exposure to this branding and awareness campaigns was lifted by 8% in Romania. Now, I'll have the stage allocated to my colleague Gabi. And I have only one kind request. Hold your questions until the end of the session because we'll have a dedicated Q&A session at the end, okay? Thank you so much, guys.
Hi, everyone. I'm really humbled and honored to be here with you guys at this lovely venue. And to be honest, it's just a little bit intimidating that you guys came in such a large number. My name is Gabriele Vasile. I'm the head of Teads Studio for Central and Eastern Europe. But people call me creative strategist. So basically what I do is I'm working with Sergiu at Teads, and my role is to drive a team of people that work with already produced assets for the brands in order to maximize KPIs of media campaigns that brands work with Teads. So today, I just want to tackle on a creative perspective on brand growth. So if Sergiu presented all the media solutions, my focus will be on the creative side, of course. And when we're talking about digital media is enormous, isn't it? And you've probably heard this phrase before, but mobile has really revolutionized the way we consume information and entertainment. However, when it comes to brand growth, marketing science tells us that there are some specific ingredients that directly impact it. And that's audience and environment, creativity, and efficient workflows. I will be focusing on the creative part today. So let's see exactly why the creative is important. In digital, and most importantly, when it comes to optimizing content for specific platforms. So IAB rules of attention actually identified that 2/3 of media effectiveness is driven by creative. What does that translate into? It sounds just a little bit vague, isn't it? It doesn't translate into the fact that media is less important than creative. It basically means that you can have the best creative, the best campaign, but if that creative is not adapted for a specific platform, for a specific ecosystem, possibilities are that it will just not reach the best potential results with that campaign. So we're really making the case here for optimizing content, already produced content, for specific platforms, for specific players. And this is actually supported by our research with Dentsu, quoted here, the attention economy, which actually discovered that there is a 49% boost in attention and an almost 40% boost in brand lift when we have been comparing unoptimized creatives versus creatives optimized specifically for our Teads platform. And this is a major win, if you come to think about it, for customers, right? Because it comes at less effort from their side, since we are working with assets that had already been produced. So let's talk about creativity. Creativity and innovation. Creative campaigns, they actually deliver an ROI, good creative campaigns, yeah? They deliver an ROI which is 11 times higher than non-creative campaigns. And several authors have been making the case for right-brained emotional advertising these days and saying that, you know, those are more powerful than ever today. But how do you actually make emotional content and emotional ads land in a mobile environment on such a small device and with such a short attention span that Sergiu was mentioning earlier available? How do you do that? So, as said, using video-led communication is still, and this kind of storytelling is still the best way to connect brands and consumers. But emotion is historically not designed for mobile. That's the truth. There are some challenges here. When you are placing a TVC in a digital environment, just rawly, there are some things that we need to tend to. So TVCs, they actually tend to be, you know, everybody I think knows that, but I will just do a short recap. So TVCs, they tend to be longer, up to 1 minute long. They tend to rely a lot on music and dialogue, of course, assuming sound on TV. They also have a different storyline when it comes to branding, because branding only shows up at the end when it comes to TVCs, not from the beginning. And, of course, Captain Obvious to the rescue, they are produced in landscape orientation. No explanation needed on that. So how do we actually make TVCs evolve once created? How do we make them evolve to being mobile and digitally fit, and specifically adapted to certain ecosystems? And I will, of course, be referring to Teads here. So this is an example of how we adapted the Heineken TVC for a Teads campaign. So as you can see here on the left side, you see the original video, which is indeed branded. And then you will see on the left side, you will be seeing how we thought about adapting it to be more fit for mobile. So what did we do, actually? We did a shorter edit. We added creative captioning, and I will be touching base on sound on and the importance of optimizing for sound off. We added some 3D effects to it, just to make it a bit more eye-catching, a bit more attention-grabbing. And very importantly, we added the branding throughout, and that's so important. I mean, I cannot stress the importance of having branded content, branded elements in your ads from the beginning until the end. Because, 50% of the visible impressions when it comes to video, they are actually lost in the first in the first 3 seconds. So it's just so important to have your ads branded from the beginning until the end to make sure you impact all of your users, all of the people who are watching the ad. And we also added an end card, and an end card is nothing fancy. It's one of the most basic optimization that can be done. It's just a static banner at the end of the video, which re-emphasizes branding, and it also has a very nice touch on click-through rate. So sound off. When it comes to sound off, everybody knows that users' behavior tends to consume video with sound off lately. And this is not necessarily just user behavior, it's also some Google limitations. I will not insist on that too much. However, what we have discovered from our findings and from our research on sound on and sound off comparisons is that when we are optimizing videos for sound off, by adding captions mostly, we will be getting the same results emotionally from users and in terms of attention. And you can see the numbers here on the screen. So it's very important not to be scared of sound off, because you will get some attention uplift anyway. However, when attention is fleeing, distinctive branding really becomes more important. And it's just so important to make sure that you get your clients to stay with your ad and to be exposed to your ad and to your brand. So I just want to show you some examples in the next slides of practically how you can do that. Human brains are programmed, are mapped to detect movement and to detect dynamic elements. So in this slide, I want to show you how a very small detail, like a cinematograph effect, what a major difference it makes in capturing users' attention, in emphasizing in-view time for a campaign, and also ad recall and brand linkage. So here you have a static banner, and on the left side, you have the absolute same banner with a cinematograph on it. And it's just that. It's just a balloon moving on the screen. However, such a small difference makes an enormous effect on the campaign results, and you can actually read for yourselves. There are lots of ways in which you can adapt a video to our platform and to make it a more elegant experience. In this case, for the launch of Cupra brand, we inserted their vertical video inside the parallax effect just to make it a more eye-catching video experience. And the whole idea of these creative optimizations are to nail the KPIs of the campaign. So whenever we are working with brands, we don't have a one-size-fits-all kind of approach. We are always asking, hey, what's your brief? What's the face of the funnel you're addressing? What's your objective? What are the KPIs your agency will be measuring at the end of the campaign? And depending on all that information, we will come up with the best proposals to make sure that you enhance your campaign results. And this is another example of a video, and this time we have added a shoppable skin. A shoppable skin is basically taking advantage of a product range which is already available and introducing it into a video creative ad. And it has the same benefits of the regular skin in terms of branding, since you can see on the top, you see branding from the beginning until the end. However, it also shortens the path to purchase. And that's very important when it comes to linking your users to your product and encouraging people to buy with relevant messaging and product-led messaging. Another thing, when it comes to amplifying your brand and building your brand and growing it, unified creative strategies. So we are definitely encouraging to unify your strategies across platforms, because simply these are the most effective. And if you have a campaign where you have an online video turbocharges when combined to TVCs and when combined to out-of-home as well. And I want to show you just 2 examples of how you can be consistent across platforms. Here's an example of our in-read stories, which is strikingly similar with the stories format that everybody knows. However, our intention is not to copy any format, but to amplify social assets and to harness the benefits of premium environments so that you can scale your social campaigns even further. And same applies to out-of-home. This is an example of a campaign that we've done during the global pandemic in the UK for O2, the telco company. It's true, and everybody knows that during the pandemic, it didn't really make much sense to have outdoor billboards. So we basically revamped their assets for digital, and we have adapted them to the kind of behavior which is prone in our ecosystem. Innovation, this buzzword. When I talk about innovation, it's no rocket science. I just want to stress small things that are possible in order to make your ads interactive and in order to increase favorability. And interactivity ads really can triple brand favorability. And it's not something I'm saying, it's something which is proven. Why? Because you are actually putting the user in control. You are giving the user the impression that they have the choice to act and to interact with the ads at their own pace, whenever they want, respectfully. So in the following slides, and I will not bore you too much with my presentation anymore, in the following slides, I just want to show you some of the creative optimizations that we do specifically for our ecosystem. And this is a format which is not a which is not a video, it's not a GIF. This is a 100% display format. I encourage you to scan the QR code here on the left side, right side. Sorry, I'm always mixing them. So you can actually test the creative on your own device. So imagine that you are a user reading an article on a website. You are in a mental state that allows you to integrate information and to capture the information that you're reading on. When you see this kind of a format, which is triggered at the pace of your scroll, you will naturally interact with it. We call this kind of formats passive engagement formats or passive interactivity. And this is probably one of the most naturalized formats that we have for our environment. So we've been seeing naturally in-view times on average, globally, of more than 11 seconds for these kind of formats. So we are really relying on motion, even if it's a subtle one, to make a difference in terms of capturing attention and keeping it. This is an ad we did for Shiseido. You can see some really nice cinematograph effects, but also some spinning. We are leveraging everything we can also on the mobile side to make sure that we get the best out of the assets that users provide, that brands provide to us. And even if those assets are not a big deal, like it happens sometimes, and we know because we live in a reality where not everything is, ideal, even when we have just a JPEG, we can still do something that can be extraordinary. I really like this Skittles example because I remember when we received the assets that everything we had was that JPEG, the colored one. So we thought together with our design team, hey, what can we do from this to still make it impactful and to still make it a really 100% awareness kind of format. So we just made a black and white version of it, and we played with this transition from black and white to color. And when this is responsive to scrolling, it will still be a really interesting way to put the user in control and to have them wow. And this applies to actually every vertical, you know, because I know that there are some verticals which are more sensitive than others. And the ones from this room working with pharma clients know what I'm talking about. This is something that we've done for Telfast, which is an allergy drug, where, again, we try to make it as engaging as possible. This kind of formats, they actually earn 4 times more attention than standard display, as I was saying. And this is something that we have discovered a long time ago, since we were doing studies with Lumen back in 2018. So all these formats that I'm showing you that rely on passive interaction, engagement, they need to be complementary, maybe, to a more basic format. So we're not evangelizing everything on this kind of formats, but they can work standalone, but they can also be in complementarity with just a basic video with a skin and an end card. Like it happens here with this latest campaign that we've done for Virtual, where we have been remixing their assets just to leverage mobile functionality for them to stand out. And don't be afraid to be playful. Sometimes it works. This is an ad we did for SIF, where we actually played with the scratch kind of function on mobile to make sure that we encourage people to interact with the brand and that people understand this is a cleaning product, okay? This is what it does. Whenever product range is available and you have carousel kind of assets, think twice if you want to go for the standard carousel or if you want to do something a bit more cutting edge like this one. And this kind of, we call this a swipe carousel. This is much more adapted to mobile functionalities. And it's just a lot more fun to interact with. However, as I was saying, KPIs are important, and it's important to know what is it that brands are looking for. And my last slide is for those type of campaigns that have the right assets available, the right budget, and the right mental availability. So when it comes to these factors coming together, we can really we can go further in terms of technology, and we can even create, you know, voice ads, or like you're seeing here, this campaign we've done for Balenciaga in France. This is a try before you buy AR type of campaign. So the idea is for this one to bring your brand closer to consumers and to really offer a memorable experience. And yes, I think this is it, and we are ready to take your questions.
So guys, do you have any questions for us? Feel free to challenge us, disagree with us. Everybody's fine? Go ahead.
There we go. I wanted to ask about fast and slow media that you brought up. Is there a metric for defining what goes where, or how do you categorize fast and slow? I mean, I kind of get it, just Kujin, but you know, how do you look at a particular number to see what would you consider fast and what would you consider slow?
Yeah. So look, I think good question. Thanks a lot for raising it. And somebody turn down the light a bit. I can't see anything. Look, there is a clarification I want to make. So all the advertising campaigns that we are serving are being delivered in local publishers, local or global publishers. So everything that's being served by us is seen from Vogue to CNN to local websites in Croatia, Slovenia, Serbia, around, right? So we don't serve ads in social media. The point I was trying to make with that is that with that highlight, the velocity of the scroll, it's basically different platforms have different behaviors, right? So obviously, and different users, which translates into different users' behavior. Obviously, if you are placing your ads in a medium where already the user is getting used to taking more time to go through the content, you will have also a higher impact behind your advertising campaign. So not up to us to decide which platform is better serving your needs versus the other. We have all the media agencies, I hope, in the room today. But yeah, we do want to also stay true to our partners and highlight the benefits and also the potential, the potential impact that our medium is bringing on versus the others. So, if you ask me, look, I work for Teads. I will all the time recommend you to put your ads in local publishers. But hey, it might just be me. I'm subjective. Don't hate me. Any other questions, guys? Thank you. Go. Can we have a mic here, please? There you go.
Yeah, hi, sorry. So my question is, do you have any performance part actually for a lower funnel?
Sorry?
And so a lower funnel performance part, and
Yeah.
can you elaborate more on that?
If we have any local performance stats, right. So I think the Durex example, it's the closest we have from our region. Now, whenever we work with all the big players you can imagine, from across verticals, from the likes of Samsung, Apple, P&G, Unilever, Reckitt, Nestle, as shown by Gabi earlier. All those advertisers are running campaigns as well locally with us. And one of the key elements we're all the time insisting, especially when we're ramping up a collaboration with the local advertisers, is, look, I'm not working in sales, I'm an industry director. I don't want to take your money. And so that before we actually put together a campaign, we always recommend to do this type of head-to-head testings, where you can basically see for yourself and compare the media outcomes that you have. And yes, we do have a lot of local examples. Unfortunately, we also don't get all the time the approval of the advertiser to share them publicly. But happy to discuss, a specific test campaign for you guys. I mean, for example, what we're all the time saying in terms of, since we talked a lot about video completion rates, we are in a position where we actually guarantee you a better completion rate on video versus any other platform out there. Go ahead.
Can you? So we are more talking about the performance. So do you have like some kind of banners? Is it trackable? Other things about performance. For completion rate, we are all clear, and for the brand part, we're all clear.
Sorry, Sergiu.
Go ahead.
You mean specific formats for performance, as in conversion or traffic? Right.
Okay.
Right.
Sorry, I couldn't hear all the questions.
Yeah, so I can answer that. Actually, in my presentation, I've been relying a lot of branding because the topic was, brand growth from a creative view. So all the examples I showed were awareness and consideration kind of formats. I didn't necessarily include that many formats which were centered on traffic as main KPIs. However, we are a full funnel solution kind of company, and we can work on the lower funnel as well.
That's the answer.
Getting back to the Nespresso example, this is a brand that mostly focuses on performance. They want to sell those capsules. So for them, we are using different standardized creative formats in sync with CPC or CPM buying to drive traffic to the website and to drive conversions.
Okay, so you have CPC buying as well.
Sorry?
You have CPC buying.
We have CPM, CPC, VCPM, CPCV, and a lot of different optimizations in the middle.
Thank you.
I just didn't want to bore you guys with all the technical details.
Any other questions?
We're getting warmed up. Let's see who's going to be the next winner.
No. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, guys.